Are you a woman having difficulty establishing healthy boundaries in your relationships? Are you saying yes to things that maybe you should be saying no to? Do you have difficulty in taking good care of yourself? You're allowing everybody else's needs to get ahead of yours, and you are pouring from an empty cup? Well, we're going to get into it today. Welcome to the Midlife Makeover Movement Thrive Thursday. I am with my sister, Kimberly Hamby, Minister Kimberly Hamby, and we're going to let her get into it today. Take it away, Miss Kim.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome back to those who have been following us and listening. And today we're going to talk about establishing healthy boundaries in a relationship, and we're going to tailor it to our age that we're in this midlife mid love. I'm going to add that mid love age where there may be some things going on that you want to reestablish. You want to get out there dating, and so today we're going to talk about it. But we're going to go back a couple weeks and just reestablish the conversation about godly boundaries, which the Bible of Proverbs says, "Guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life." That's Proverbs 4:23. A guard is a boundary, a definitive line or limit that we put to keep out sin, distraction, and unnecessary brokenness. Well, here we are in this midlife age, and we've gone through the brokenness that taught us the lessons. We've gone through the things that we didn't know how to set a boundary. We have experience and wisdom now to be able to move forward. And so some of us are restarting our life as far as maybe gone through a divorce, or maybe have had a long-term relationship and you're starting over. And so I want to get into that today. Just talking about it briefly. As you approach middle age, you are typically, or you're in middle age, you're typically more self-aware, confident in your own skin, and understand your core values and what you're looking for in a partner. Well, we can start here. These core values. So we could have a whole conversation about core values and what that means. I teach in relationship equipment to the couples that we've mentored and coached, is that you have to set a impact statement for yourself. You have to set a pace or a place where you're like, this is the 5 or 6 things that mean the most to me, that are my core value. They're not changeable. They're my no compromise things. And so the 5 types of boundaries are emotional boundaries. Emotional boundaries have to do with being clear on what is and isn't yours to feel or fix. I'm gonna say that again. You got to be clear on what it is that is or isn't yours to feel or fix. Sometimes we get in things in the past, we've gotten in relationships and we felt like, I gotta fix this. I want to be the savior. I've been there, hi, I'm the savior in this thing. I'll come in and I'm the good. I'm gonna be the good in this. But at this point, at this time in your big age or bigger age, emotional boundaries, you have to be able to be clear what isn't yours. So you can say, I don't want to be bothered with this. Intellectual boundaries. Everyone has a different belief, idea, or value. Financial boundaries and sexual boundaries. Some examples of healthy boundaries in relationship are asking permission, take one another's feelings into account, show gratitude, be honest, give space and autonomy, and avoid codependency, show respect and for differences in opinion, perspective, and feelings. Number 7 is sit with the other person's communication and emotion. Well, at this age, this is that self-aware piece. This is that understanding piece. You're a little bit more understanding. You're able to hear better. You're able to speak clearly about what you need and be able to listen to what your other partner or potential partner may need. And being honest about what you desire. Being honest about what it is you don't need in a relationship. What it is that you're triggered by. What the things that you're healing from your past. You want to be able to say, I don't want to talk about my past, but I want you to know these are things that I'm still healing emotionally from. I'm putting myself out there, but although I'm putting myself out there, please understand there are things that I'm still processing and managing in my life. Express your expectations during or in your 40s or older means you have a certain expectation from a relationship, including commitment and emotional support. So you're not in this thing to just waste your time. You're not getting into something again unless you just want to be out there and just be a dater. But I would imagine as you get older, you want companionship. You don't need just any old thing. You don't need just any old thing because you're trying to settle into the next stages of your life. Before going ahead in a relationship, express your feelings and expectations. Express how you feel. Spend a lot of time talking about it. I wasn't quite close to 40 when I met my husband, but we spent a lot of time talking and breaking down what it is that we were looking for in the next chapters of our life. And so a lot of conversation to me is necessary to be able to talk through what it is. May have been single for a while. You may have, been waiting on someone to come into your life. And so when you find that person, there's a lot of communication that should go forward with the two of you so that you can set boundaries or also just talk about what it is that they're doing. I'm going to go back to one of our points today is, take one another's feelings into account. So when you're hearing and you're breaking down what you desire, you got to be able to listen to what the other person is. Before you go ahead in the relationship, express your feelings and expectations. Tell your partner the stage of life you are in and what qualities you're looking for in your partner or a future relationship. If you are unclear about your dating values and preferences, talk about them before you start going out. So talk about them with your friends, talk about them with your girlfriends and say, you know what, I don't know what I really need because maybe I did it wrong the first time. I was expressing myself and I was misunderstood. Maybe I didn't know how to say things the right way. I heard things that I misinterpreted. So before you can go out and talk about what new things you need, you got to talk about what are your values and your preferences for this next stage. A healthy relationship boundary. While there are some basic rules to consider when building and maintaining a healthy boundary, what works for one person may not work for another person. Ideally, everyone grows up in a different home. So there are different things that person may have seen growing up. And so what they may think is good for them may not be good for you. So you have to be able to say or hear those things and say, you know what, I grew up differently. This works for me better. Can we compromise? That's another word that's important in boundaries is setting a place of compromising. What works for that person may not work for you. For example, your partner may have different expectations, the amount of time you spend together, the frequency of communication when you are apart, what's considered to be cheating in a commitment or a committed relationship, and lines being crossed when discussing finances. It's important that you and your partner honestly communicate your expectations and focus on how honoring these boundaries can help you create a relationship that allows you to feel safe. I'm going to pause here because I want to hear your input, sis, about what is important to you and how you feel safe in a relationship. Just give me one thing that makes you feel safe when you're in a relationship.
Trust. Without a shadow of a doubt, trust. I have found, and I realized that forgiveness, right? I really struggled with forgiveness because I thought that forgiveness meant reconciliation. And so many of my relationships, for the people who were supposed to be closest to me, right? And we weren't very close, what they thought was anger coming from me was not. It was a lack of trust. And when people have betrayed you over and over and over again, especially people who hold a space, a title in your life, someone who is supposed to take care of you above all else, and you realize that time and time again, they betrayed you. Yeah. It took me a lot of growth to realize I wasn't angry at them as much as I didn't trust them. And so there was, okay, I'm gonna pause right here.
Yeah.
I wasn't angry at them as much as I didn't trust them. And so you have some people in your life who you are supposed to be able to trust based on
Yes.
who they are and what
Yeah.
they do. And what I realized is my acting out was not anger, it was lack of trust. When it all hits the fan, can I trust you to have my back?
Yeah.
When life is beating me down, can I trust you to be on my side? Even if I'm wrong, can you lovingly say you're wrong? Or do you get on the other side and beat me down as well?
Yes.
My biggest lesson that I had to learn was when people who are close to you betray you. It's little things, right? It's
Yeah.
little things like when my dad would be like, well, I'm coming to pick you up, and he don't show up. Or you have another parent who says, if you do this, I'm going to do that, and they don't. Or you're in relationships with people who step outside of the relationship, or they don't honor whatever their word was. You realize it took me this long to realize I didn't have an anger issue. I had a trust issue. And so people who said they were close to me, it's no different than Jesus and Judas, right? Judas betrayed Jesus.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm not above being betrayed. However, I didn't understand that that was the issue in a lot of my closest relationships. So for me, trust above all everything. Like once you, like a lot of people say, but I love you, I love you, I love you. And I got it. Love's not enough.
Yeah.
There's trust, there's fidelity, there's honor, there's commitment, there is, can you keep your word? If those things are missing, love really is for naught. You can love people from a distance, but being in relationship requires these other things.
That's good. That's good, sis. And when I think about trust, I think about faith. And so you want to be able to have faith in somebody that they're going to be loyal to you in those spaces that you need. It's for me, it's loyalty on top of trust. And so I'm a big loyal person. If you're not loyal, then it's like, how can I trust you if you're not, what you gonna do when I'm not around? What are you gonna say when I'm not in your presence? Are you gonna defend me when I'm not able to defend myself? And so this whole conversation we could go hours and talk about, but I want to close with, we have to be able to understand what we need in a relationship before we get in a relationship. And if we're in one, we have to make sure that it is a safe place and we feel safe, and we have to establish those boundaries, but we have to communicate what it is that we desire. And also, while we're communicating, we have to be able to listen and understand what the other person needs. And a lot of this, like brokenness that we experience as women, can be eliminated if we're able to communicate what we need, if we're able to ask permission, if we're able to take one another's feelings into account, show gratitude. Because sometimes people are in your life when you're in a dating season where they're just that seasonal person. They may be a placeholder for what's to come. Your experience is something new. And I'll be talking to the women now who are moving into that place, maybe in a new dating phase or starting to date again, or have been dating and now they need the tools to be equipped to date. So this is a tool for you. You have to be honest about what it is you need and what you don't want. Give space and autonomy and avoid codependency. In a midlife age, you don't need much from that person. A lot of women at that age are like, I don't really need a man. I have everything I need, but I desire companionship. So for example, I worked with a lady. She was my manager one time, and she had a relationship with a man for years. She was Caucasian, and it worked for them. They lived in separate houses. He would come over and take care of everything that she needed, but they managed that relationship in a healthy way because they were able to know what was best for them. You got to know what's best for you. At this age of my life, what do I need? What do I really want? Do I want somebody that I've evolved from the same person. I'm not the same person that I was 10 years ago. I'm not the same person I was 15 years ago. I'm not the same person I was in a marriage that I have gotten divorced from. I am moving forward. Here's another one. as I move forward, do you align with what my purpose is at this stage of my life? Because if you don't align, if you can't support me, if you can't be my cheerleader, if I can't be your cheerleader because I don't see you being effective and productive in your life, then you're not for me. We have to normalize saying this person may not be for me. And guess what? It's okay. He may be a good business partner. He may be a good friend. He may be able to, if your car break down, can you come pick me up? I ran out of gas. I need this. Those people are in your life, and that's okay. But those people may not be your person. And so we have to be able to establish in our mind what we need and what we don't want, and how that person will be able to come in our life and be able to be the placeholder that they are for the specific thing that we may need them for. And not as a user, but you're a great friend because I know you will help me with this. I know you'll give me advice. You'll hold me accountable. Some people even have men in their life that are advice givers, where they have a wealth of wisdom about men and they're able to share and they give you these perspectives. Those men are good men too that you may just want to have to say, hey, let me run this by you. So as I close, make sure that you're creating a safe place for yourself in your relationship. That's all I have.
That is phenomenal. Thank you, Kimberly. Loyalty. I think you kind of nailed it, as far as when we talk about trust. Trust really does come from loyalty, right? And, oftentimes we find ourselves giving, and we don't have that person who's loyal to us that is, our champion.
Yes.
And if you don't have that, it really does stunt your growth.
Oh,
that
yeah.
When you have someone who is your champion, who is for you, even when you stumble, when you fall, they got their hand out saying, I got you, sis, as opposed to, see, I told you it was going to fall, or people who are just waiting for you to fail. It changes your life. And,
Yes.
It's just one of those things where setting boundaries with people who've not proven, right?
Yes.
Loyalty comes over time. It doesn't come right away. It is from not necessarily testing someone, but just sitting back and looking to see how they show up or don't for you.
That's good. That's so good.
This was an amazing lesson about boundaries and really self-care and taking care of yourself. And we talked about codependency. I want to get into that in future lessons, because sometimes we are conditioned to be codependent. And so it's very difficult to break. Like it's something that, people pleasing and caring for others and being codependent is sometimes bred into us, especially when we come from dysfunctional family dynamics. So that's one thing that I want us to get into in future lessons. Thank you today for your preparation today. We're going to stop the call so we can get into prayer.
All right.
Is there anything you want to add before we stop?
Yes, you were seeing my facial expression. I wanted to go back to this thing about confident in your own skin. When you're confident in your own skin, you can talk about what you need and you don't need. And you don't have to be shaken or stirred by people who you may think, oh, well, he looks good, or he smells good, or he got this going on. You are confident in your own skin. I don't care what you look like. If you don't have this, and this, there's nothing I can do with you. You don't add value to my life, and I don't need you in this way. And so, being confident is also a thing that we as women in this age group have to be able to. Sometimes we feel like, oh, the young girls, they're doing this and they got this going on. Listen, I'm confident in my something age. I'm confident in my core values and what I'm looking for. I'm confident in knowing that I can set these boundaries and I can do it in a healthy way. And I'm creating a safe space where I don't have to pretend that I like something that someone else is doing. And I don't have to receive it if it doesn't add value to my life. So
I have a question. Where did that confidence come from? Did you have it earlier because this is not, you're not in your first marriage? Or is this something that you've cultivated recently? Is this something that you cultivated in your relationship?
Well, I will say this, being a divorcee for almost 8 years, that was something that as I got closer to being healed, I started talking to myself about what I needed. I started talking to myself and I started talking out what I desired for my future. And so being confident, I started building core values. I started speaking into the life of who my future husband was without meeting him yet, saying, this is God, this is what I needed a husband. But not only that, this is what I need to be for that person. This is what I know that I need to change this. Like I started putting things down on paper. I started writing them out. I started posting stuff on Facebook. This is how relationship equipment even came about, because the Lord was downloading in me a vision that we need to be equipped to be healthy. And so maybe the Lord is dealing with somebody who is coming up with something, a business that may be a part of their future. And so it's also a place of building self-confidence and confidence in your own skin, because you're establishing some things and you're putting some things into action that you didn't do before. And so it's building that confidence. I'm strong enough now to handle this. I'm strong enough now to put this into action. I'm strong enough that my value system can't be shaken, because at my core, I know who I am. At my core, I've got this wisdom now, and I'm able to not make the same mistakes that I made before. So that confidence comes because you have to talk to yourself. You have to tell yourself, I am going to do this. I'm no longer going to sit in a space of do nothing. I'm no longer going to sit in a space where I don't feel worthy. That's another conversation where I don't feel worthy of this. Where I'm going to celebrate myself. I'm going to take myself out. I'm going to spend time making sure that I'm taking care of my skin, because you feel good when you taking care of the inside and the outside. So those are other things. Taking care of yourself, self-care all across the board. All of those things matter, because if you can't step out and say, I know I look good. I know I smell good. I know my clothes are, you may have something like we shop at Ross. Now, Ross is not a Macy's and it's not a Louis Vuitton, but baby, the clothes at Ross will have you looking fine. And so these are things that you have to be able to know. I gotta not look like what I've been through. My mother went through hell and back. I remember things that she went through, but she never looked like it. Her appearance was always of such that she looked like nothing happened to her. And sometimes people can misconstrue that outside confidence because they think you have it all together. But guess what? Having it all together is you being able to know that your core values are in place. You've taken care of yourself. You're confident in your own skin. After you've healed, after you've gone through what you gone through, then you still have to be able to look good and tell yourself, I am healed from this. I'm okay. I'm stronger now. I'm better now. I'm wiser now. I lived through that. I'm a survivor of these things. And so it's so much that I could say, but certainly it's important that you build the self-confidence for you. Don't worry about anybody else telling you who you are. You find out who you are.